What is up, everybody? AJ here, Dynamic Marine, Mike Murray's favorite hippie, back at you today with another Tackle Tip Tuesday. Yes, it is Tuesday, so we are back with tackle tips. I don't know if you guys watched our video that Matt and I did recently, but we talked about a new product that we just got in from Core Tackle. We got a full line of all their jig heads, hover rigs, swim bait rigs, Ozark rigs, all that good stuff. Been selling quick. We got another order coming in, so don't wait. If you want to get your hands on some of this stuff, get it quick. It's going to go quick. But then I'm just going to talk about kind of how to rig these baits, what to look for, where to fish it, how to fish it, so on and so forth. So we'll start right here. Ain't nothing fancy, just a standard boot tail swim bait. And you can see it's going to be a little bit different presentation than your standard ball head jig or wide gap weighted swim bait hook. That's how that looks. We also got the hover rig right there. Same deal. You guys can tell, different line tie position, different presentation and all that. And lastly, the Ozark rig. Another good one I'm excited to try and get my hands on. I do have some experience with hover strolling in the past. It's a technique that seems to have kind of picked up here in the past year or so. Guys are starting to figure out the uses for this technique. So we're just going to talk about that today. First thing we'll do right here, we'll start with our hover rig, the OG. This is what started it all. And if you guys don't know how to rig it, well, I'm going to show you. Right here, we got the 3/64 ounce size. It's a great size for 2.5 to 3.5 inch baits. Right here, I got a Zoom Super Fluke Junior. So if you want to zoom in, Laura, I don't know if they can see this, but essentially what you want to do with a hover rig is you are not going to thread it right through the nose. That is not what you want to do. Essentially, you want to get that bait lined up where you want that weight kind of just hitting the head right there. Normally equates to about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, something like that. So you'll go right in the back right there. Kind of go in at a little angle and then straighten it out. Just thread that sucker on. Always want to make sure you moisten it. A little lead never hurt nobody. I'm just going to thread that sucker on there. It'll look a little wonky at first. You'll probably wonder, man, am I doing this right? But so we get to this point right here, you're probably thinking, all right, what the hell do I do now? All you gotta do is kind of push that head in. Right? It's not gonna mess your plastic up too bad, and you kind of push it forward and straighten it out. And I probably should have gone back another 1/4 of an inch on my bait, but essentially that's what you want in your head right there. Right? And what that allows you to do is it allows you to present this bait in a way the fish have never seen. Obviously, this is not a great example, but this is a technique where it is very important to make sure your bait is 100% straight. Flush along the back, straight this way. If there any kind of kink in the bait, it's just not going to run right, and you're going to be wondering, why am I not getting bites? Why are they not touching this? It's little details like that with this rig that are very important. I'll show y'all. This is the Ozark rig. Now, if you got a piece of plastic that's thin enough, you can just basically push that jig head right through the head. And on thicker plastics, you're gonna have to thread it through. But this one's pretty cut and dry. There you are. That's the Ozark rig. So, the back pedal here, we're gonna go back on kind of some situations you want to throw these baits. Now the hover rig, what this is designed to do is it's going to allow you to properly fish whatever depth you want to fish. If you see fish suspended in 18 foot, over 25 foot of water, count this thing down, start reeling it, and it is going to stay right where you count it down to. It's not going to want to nose down, it's not going to want to ride up. It is going to effectively fish the depth zone that you want to fish. You can basically cast this thing out, count it down, just slowly reel it back, and it'll just kind of slowly swim back like that. Or if you want, you can take little twitches of the rod tip, Point your rod tip down as you're reeling that bait back. Just give it little twitches. What that's going to do is it's going to get that bait to start rolling, kind of gyrating like that. It's still going to track that certain depth zone the whole way back, but if you give those little rod tip twitches, it's going to start doing that rolling action. That's a great way to get bites. And my personal favorite way to fish this is honestly like a flutter spoon or something. You know, throw it out, count it down, let it fall. You know, the way that jig head is designed, it's going to spiral the whole way down. And what I'll do is I'll throw it out there, count it down to some fish, and just like a spoon, I'm going to bring my rod tip up and go poop like that and let it fall. Poop, poop, and let it fall. And what that's going to do is it's going to be spiraling down to the bottom, and you give it a couple of twitches, it's going to go foom, 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 like that, and it's going to spiral right back down. That is a deadly way to catch fish in open water that are just roaming around chasing bait. And a lot of your bites are going to come on that fall. You're going to go to pump it again one more time, and it's just going to load up on you. Very fun. Love doing it that way. And the tush, I mean, it's going to be kind of a similar presentation. A little more conventional. It's not going to have quite as much of that spiraling as it falls to the bottom. But it's just another way to fish a swim bait effectively at whatever depth level you want to fish it at. That's what that eye tie allows you to do. When it comes in at the head of the bait, it's going to make that bait just track the whole way, flat, all the way back at that depth zone. So it's just a better way to present your big boot tail swim baits and all that to fish. And then lastly, the Ozark rig. I have plenty of experience hover rigging, mid-strolling, deep strolling, whatever you want to call it. But the Ozark rig, is something I have not tried, but I'm very intrigued by it. As you can see, it's a long piece of lead through the whole shaft. And just by looking at this in my hand, what I initially think of is this is a natural crawfish presentation in terms of how they sort of scoot and jump across the bottom. You know, that thing's sitting there, you got your line tie coming around the head of the hook, and you twitch that thing up and it's gonna go foom, foom, foom. And just like a crawfish, it's gonna fall horizontal with the tails of that bait coming up. If you ever seen crawfish, when they jump off the bottom, they don't just go straight up and down like a jig or something. They'll kind of scoot up and float down like that. So this is just a very natural way to present a crawfish bait to these fish. You know, this would probably be great on rocky banks, bluff walls, stuff like that, where you want to effectively present your bait to those fish in a manner that they like. So that's something I'm really anxious to try because I've got a lot of ideas for that one. And lastly, just, you know, some of the characteristics I look for in a bait when I'm hover strolling. First thing is there's two methods here. So you can either choose a bait with a flat back, like a fluke, and I like a flat back bait when I'm fishing a little deeper. You know, essentially what that's doing when you have that flat back, you know, sort of, I don't know, natural bodied bottom of the bait, you know, it's going to want to kind of dig a little more and stay down deeper. So when I'm fishing deep fish, 10, 15, 20, 30 foot, I'm looking for something that has a flat back so that my bait really tracks down there in that deeper water column. And on the, you know, opposite end of the spectrum, if I'm fishing shallow, I like a bait with a flat bottom, right? You know, like we got here, we got the Berkeley Max Scent, what is this sucker called? Flatworm. Sorry, brain fart there. It's a great bait to do this technique in shallow water because it's going to have more of a glide as it falls. It's not going to be that sort of spiral down. It's going to kind of glide down like that. So it's a lot better in shallow water, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 foot. And don't, you know, this isn't a bait that you can only fish deep with. I mean, I've caught fish in 2 foot of water on a hover rig. It is a great bait to catch cruising fish in the spring. It's a great bait to just, you know, I don't know, throw on point shallow in the spring. But it's just something these fish haven't seen. And the second thing I also look for in a bait is the thickness of it. And by thickness, I'm really not talking about, you know, how thick and bulky the body is. It's more of the back of the bait. You know, is it a skinny bait? You know, is it real tapered or is it wide? And this is a great example right here of a bait that's very skinny, shad-shaped worm from Yamamoto. You know, a skinnier bait is going to have more of that rolling action that I talked about when you start kind of twitching the rod tip a little bit. It's going to start rolling because there's not these flat sides that kind of hinder the bait from doing that. You know, so a thin round bait, it's going to really roll hard. A flat wider bait, it's really just going to kind of track and hunt at the depth you want it to. But that's about it for us today. Come on by the shop, pick them up. We still got plenty in stock, but they are going quick. And this is a great time of year to try this technique, but it also works 12 months out of the year. Don't forget, y'all, we got our tournament coming up this week. It is, what's today? Tuesday, right? I'm doing Tackle Tip Tuesday. So we've got just a few more days left for our tournament. If you haven't signed up yet, you can sign up online or come into the shop. You know, if you want to do a little 2-for-1 special, pick up some baits and also sign up for our tournament, but it is just around the corner. So don't wait any longer, guys. As always, remember, live free, boat hard. See you at the shop.